Welcome back to the Competitor Talk. This is your host, Kyle Dangler. This podcast is presented by Ladder Creative Works, and today we're very fortunate to be joined by Indianapolis Colts coach, Jerrod Johnson. So let's get going. Yeah, so we're just live right now. We'll get going right away. I know you're busy, with the season right around the corner, so we'll just get going.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, just talking about, after your playing career, we'll wind up talking about your playing career in a little bit. But I just want to talk about, how you got into, coaching after your career winded down. I know you interned with the Colts in the spring, and then, in the summer, you got the position to be, a full-time coach with them. I mean, was that something you always look forward to, after your career and after hanging up the cleats, transitioning into coaching?
Yeah, I always wanted to be a coach. My dad coached at my high school. My brother's a coach, and I'm an education major, and so I really like teaching the game and teaching, period. And even as a player, the more I learned, and I had some great coaches who coached me, just knew that when the time came for me to stop playing, I wanted to coach.
Now, what exactly is your role? I know you just got on with the Colts, a few months ago, but I mean, what are you, specifically working on? Are you working on any specific, offensive players, defensive players, special teams? I mean, what are you doing?
So it's still under the umbrella of the Bill Walsh Fellowship, but it's a full-time position, and I'm essentially doing offensive quality control. So I work with all the offense wherever kind of the coordinator tells me to go. I guess I spend most of my days with the receivers.
Okay.
We have a couple. Yeah, we have a quarterback, a head coach with a quarterback background and whatnot, a coordinator and a quarterback coach. So that's a lot of guys in the room. And so I'm just trying to, figure out where I can help out. And they said receivers would be best. So I mainly work with the receivers, I guess, you got to take place.
Yeah, so, going from, being a player, going through, the dog days of training camp, kind of winding up where you are now, just looking at, being a coach now. I mean, how is it different for you personally, looking at the other side of the road, if you will, being on the coaching side of a training camp, having to, deal with, different players, that might not make the roster, dealing with, the different schemes that you try to prepare for the season. I mean, is it different for you, the mindset going into training camp as a coach as compared to a player?
Oh, the mindset's definitely different. I mean, the biggest thing is the preparation of the hours. As a player, you understand that there's probably some preparation gone into or planning gone into practice, but you really don't understand how much goes into scripting and planning out every practice, whether it's how many reps you want a certain player to get, whether it's how many times you want to run a play or what you're trying to get from a look standpoint, and so that's essentially what our coordinators and our position coaches do. And I essentially help them with whatever they need to make their day easier. But as a player, you just don't understand how much planning goes into to practice and in preparation. And on the other side of it, it's long hours, but it's been good.
Yes, you just talked about, game planning for, each training camp, every day, the night before, you're having to make a game plan going into practice. I mean, for you guys, with the Colts, I mean, does it change a lot? If you see someone, throwing the ball good, after the 5 reps, instead of doing 10, you might just cut it there and say, you know what, we can move on with the drills, or do you guys mostly stick to the plan and go from there?
It all depends. I mean, for the most part, we stick to the plan. I mean, we have Coach Reich is awesome, and Nick Sirianni is awesome, the coordinator. He's one of the brightest minds in football, and so they plan out the entire training camp. There's a pretty much a plan months in advance, and by the day or if guys are tired or something happens, you can adjust from there. But for the most part, it's planned out. So we want this much of our offense in the first week. By the second week, it should be this much of our offense. By the third week, we want to get this guy this many reps. I mean, there's not a single thing we do in that practice that's not planned out. And the guys we have on staff at the Colts have been doing a heck of a job, and it's been a blessing to learn from.
Yeah, awesome. So, it's no secret, with the Colts, going into this year, just what, the amount of talent around the team, you were heavy, favorites in the AFC. But, I'm sure everyone, in the locker room and, especially with the news has been, kind of going focused with Andrew Luck retiring. Just curious what you, as a former player, hanging up the cleats. I mean, going through that, now as a coach, so to speak, dealing with, having to lose your starting quarterback so, close to the season right around the corner. I mean, how do you, prepare for Jacoby Brissett to take over week 1 and, have that mindset for him and also with the coordinators and the staff to, put their full trust in him moving forward and kind of not forget about Andrew, obviously, but, have to realize that, the season's starting without him and, he's not going to be coming back.
Well, a lot of that stuff's completely over my head, and I really don't want to comment too much on that.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Just from my end, from my end, Jacoby's worked really hard, and I know we have full faith in him, and just kind of excited to see him play.
Now, just obviously, he's had experience in the league. Obviously, he's played, when Andrew was hurt a few years ago, and he had a little bit of time with the Patriots. But I mean, how much are you going to try to, help him, during the game or even after the game in the film room? I know you said you work mostly with the wide receivers, but just, with your own knowledge, I mean, is it someone that, you could try to, help out, have him, pick your brain, whenever he needs it, just to, get more experience, kind of learn on the fly as the season goes on?
I mean, Jacoby. I mean, at this point, Jacoby's seen a lot of football, and he's kind of a veteran himself. Our quarterback coach Marcus Brady does a really good job with him. And for me, me and Jacoby's relationship, we have conversations, and I'm pretty close removed to playing, so we have conversations here and there, and if he may ask a question or two, but for the most part, Coach Brady coaches him and does a really good job, and me and Jacoby's relationship is very much just kind of like, I guess, almost like I'd say I'm one of the younger guys on the staff, so almost like a teammate, I guess, in a sense. But like I said, Jacoby's played a ton of football and has had a great spring and has had a great training camp so far, and he's definitely ready.
Now, just going with, the new quarterback, obviously, that quarterback wide receiver, connection, knowing where that receiver is going to be going, so to speak, and, the wide receiver, vice versa, also knowing when the quarterback's going to throw it. I mean, just going through that, now working, more with the wide receiver aspect, I mean, is it going to be... Hey, sorry, I think we lost connection.
Yeah, sorry.
No, yeah, I just wanted to, you were talking, you work mostly with the wide receivers, especially during training camp, having to come out, Jacoby, obviously, he's getting reps every day with the guys, but I mean, is there going to be a different mindset, with the wide receivers, having the game plan for a new wide quarterback to come in and, know his, throwing pattern, where his tendencies are leaning more towards than, say, opposed to Andrew, or is that kind of not something that, you guys are thinking about really, going into the season?
I mean, I think the guys that they've caught a lot of passes from Jacoby. Think about if you've been to training camp practice or whatever. I mean, there's a tons of reps, and Jacoby's taking a bunch of them. And I think there naturally is certain differences, I guess. But I know those guys have confidence in it, and so they've had a lot of reps, and that's the coach has done a good job of getting them together, and Jacoby does a great job of leading those guys and holding guys after playing, throwing and catching and getting on the same page. So they put in a lot of work, and I would expect them to be ready to go for moving on.
Yeah, so you as a coach, and also being around the team, for a few months now, just going through, the transition. I mean, just you formerly as a quarterback, obviously, teams try to prepare, especially on the offensive side of the ball to go with the quarterback's tendencies, whether they're a dual threat or more of a pocket passer. Let them their strengths really show out during the game. I mean, going through that, I mean, do you think obviously you can't talk about specific plays, but does this scheme going into a game differentiate from quarterback to quarterback? Not even just specifically with Andrew and Jacoby. I mean, do you really focus on say if there's a dual threat? Instead of a big pocket passer, do you change up the scheme a lot, or do you just try to play to their tendency and go on the fly during the game?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think you always want to try to do whatever the quarterback's skill sets are. I mean, his strengths. And you want to highlight those and things he does well, and it's different for every quarterback. But I do think you have a system, but hopefully you have a system that's flexible enough to where, depending on the player, you can find a way to call plays or scheme up stuff that allows that quarterback to do what he does best.
Yeah. So just going back to obviously we just talked a little bit about your coaching experience so far, but I just wanted to take you back to when you were in college, you went through the NFL process. I mean, going back playing with the Aggies in Texas A&M. I mean, just going through that kind of battle with going through college, having to back up a veteran at first, and kind of coming into your own as your career went on. I mean, going through the process of having to sit behind someone and then get your chance in college, was that something humbling for you, going from being one of the stars in high school?
It is. It's definitely humbling, but I think when you get to upper level football, you respect the position. You
Okay.
know, and the quarterback position is special because it's just no other position like it in sports that stimulates you physically, mentally, the challenges, the leadership, all those different things. But more importantly, you know, you're in it's a special group. You know, regardless of what team you play on, there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks. You have the quarterback room, and the strength of that quarterback room, you respect it. You know, so when you're in the backup, you understand your role, and not only one guy can play, and it's your job to help the team by doing whatever you can to help the starter. And even though you're competing with the guy, you know, you're kind of you're in a support role. You know, and you work out every day, and you do everything you can with the hopes that someday you'll be the guy that's kind of leading the room, and you'll have guys who help you as well. So you really learn the etiquette of the position, and that's when I fell in love with the position. Was there when honestly my first year as a backup. So I understand, man, there's so much that goes into this position, and honestly, I wasn't ready to play. You know, and I think some self-awareness of when you are ready to play and how to handle the situation will only make you a better player.
Is, you know, being, you know, a quarterback, you know, going into college, you know, I'm sure in high school being a quarterback, you know, something that, you know, I'm sure you were very passionate about. And then going into your sophomore season, you know, losing the quarterback position to, you know, Stephen McGee, but then also at the same time having the transfer to a little bit of wide receiver role. I mean, was that something that, you know, obviously you want to be on the field all the time, but was that kind of an awkward thing that, you know, have to go to a different position, you know, especially at the college level when, you know, it's not high school, and, you know, especially at the college level, you know, these guys have been preparing their whole lives for, you know, being a wide receiver, and then you just have to, you know, go learn on the fly?
Yes and no. I mean, the way we handled it at A&M was just, you know, I was a quarterback, and you just so happen to have me and a couple athletic guys in the room, you know. And so once you get on a team and you're there, you know, you fall into you want to do whatever you can to help the team win, you know. And so when coach presented it, that hey, look, you know, at this point, we love to get your athleticism on the field. I was all in, you know. And so if helped the team win consisted of holding a clipboard, if it consisted of running routes, you know, I was okay with it. And you know, I only did it for I guess one game actually,
Yeah.
but I was glad to help the team, and you know, like I said, once you spend so much time with guys, your mindset goes into whatever I do to help out the guys to my left and my right. You know, what to do.
Yeah, so, you know, was that more of a coaching, you know, they came to you and, you know, the coaches kind of sat you down and asked, you know, would you be willing to, or is it something that you brought up in, you know, the film room or maybe to the coaches that, you know, you wanted to be on the field no matter what?
It was kind of random for whatever reason. We had a couple guys get hurt in practice, and you know, I was like, I can go out there. Me and Ryan Tannehill both went out there, we ran some routes, and did a decent job of it. You know, and so it just kind of fell into its own. It was actually kind of random, and both of us wanted to play, and so we kind of went with it.
Yeah, so then going through, you know, especially, you know, your junior season, senior season, you know, having, you know, your ups and downs with, you know, beating out Tannehill, you know, in your junior year, you know, having a tremendous season there, and, you know, kind of, you know, regressing in the fact of, you know, the stat line didn't look as good as, you know, 2009, you know, just looking, you know, at the stats specifically. But I mean, going through, you know, the highs and downs, you know, before the NFL, was that something that, you know, made you motivated to work even harder, you know, going into the NFL draft and, you know, going into, you know, an NFL organization?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough for me. I tore my rotator cuff after my junior year, so
Yeah.
that drastically affected, you know, my the next 3 years of my life. You know, I flat out couldn't throw. You know, and so
Yeah.
I was trying to do the things that I'd done before, but you know, I just wasn't the same player, and I tried to push through it. You know, I finally had to come to realization after a rough senior year and a rough combine and a rough draft process that you know I needed help. You know, and so once I was able to get that help and get healthy, and you know there was a drive to get back to my previous self. You know, that's what gave me my shot to the NFL. But it definitely was the hardest thing I went through. You know, as a person, and my football career was dealing with my torn rotator cuff. But I mean, it is what it is at this point, and it made me stronger. And you know, I still got my shot.
So was it that you came back too early? I mean, was it just a nagging injury that, you know, kept on coming back? I mean, what kind of, you know, made it, you know, extra difficult for you to, you know, fully regain, you know, that confidence in your shoulder to, you know, have the ability to throw the deep ball and, you know, just be comfortable in the pocket?
Oh, the biggest thing was I came. I probably came back. Knowing what I know now, I probably came back way too soon,
Okay.
and my shoulder wasn't strong enough to hold up the way that the way I threw the ball. So I compensated and you know developed a different throwing motion than what I had in my whole life, just to kind of survive and figure out where to throw the ball, and that became the way I threw the ball for 2 years. And so that's honestly was the biggest issue was once I didn't have pain, I kind of created a way to throw the ball that wasn't exactly efficient, and it took me a couple of years until I could kind of break that down and get back to square one and kind of relearn to throw again to kind of get to where I could, throw it at a college level, let alone NFL level.
Yeah, so just going through the NFL process, dealing with being on a roster and going to a different organization, pretty quickly. I mean, just going like through the different locker rooms, kind of at not a rampant pace, but having to continually do it. I mean, was that something that kind of in the back of your mind was annoying and kind of pestering, with the fact that you decided eventually to hang up the cleats early on and kind of move on to a different direction with football?
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating, seeing how high that I was rated and a lot of my peers having tons of success and whatnot, and knowing kind of where I was prior to hurting my shoulder, and then knowing where I was when I was healthy. But the draft window, or whatever you want to call it, I missed. It was frustrating, but that being said, to each his own, and it's hard. There's a whole other side to the NFL that people have no idea about it, and there's so much to that situation and circumstance, and making the most of the opportunities at the right time, at the right team, and whatever. And so it was tough, and so I did the grind of it, and, I think it may have been the best thing for him was playing with so many different teams. That's a bunch of different coaching staffs, as teammates, that are all people in the football world that, I've developed relationships with that, at this point as a coach, it's really good to see guys you played with or that have coached you and whatnot, being in upper level football. And I mean, honestly, as a coach, it may have been the best thing for me because I got to play for a bunch of coaches, have a bunch of teammates, and kind of expanded my network.
Yeah, that's interesting that you brought up kind of the whole other side of the NFL, because just talking to other players in the league currently and formerly, it's interesting how they always kind of bring up at some point, at the end of the day, the NFL isn't about just the lights and cameras and the Sunday Night Football, so to speak. It's more of and the NFL is a business, and at the end of the day, and based on contracts, or who's supposed to play based on their salary and stuff. It's interesting how you brought up too that there's just another side. It's very fascinating to me, and I'm sure people listening that we don't get to see the other side of the curtain, if you will, with the kind of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many moving parts, and even now being on this side, and from the people selling tickets to the people doing personnel decisions, from the people, cleaning the building, to the people that are giving out equipment, to the nutritionists. I mean, the amount of people that are involved with it is such a huge operation, and it's the best players in the world, and so every year there's a whole other group of guys that, are fighting for a job, and so there's nothing else like the NFL. It's truly special, but there's a lot of ups and downs that come with it across the board.
Yeah, so kind of talking about football, saying how just going through the process humbled you and all that, but going back to when you were a young kid, I know you mentioned your dad was your coach in high school with football, but where did your passion really come from? I mean, was it something that your dad kind of tried to instill in you, or was it something that you just picked up one day and you continued going at it, or something that just going through football, you kind of realized as you kept on playing that, you were something, a little more special than the guys playing around you? I mean, what led you to, pursue that as a career?
I mean, honestly, a lot of it had to do with my dad. I mean, he coached at Humble High School, and we had several players go on and play in the NFL that, I got to see as a child. So it was tangible for me, and so like sitting riding on the buses with David Boston and David Gibbons and Bertrand Berry, and I mean, there's several other guys who played at my high school that went to the NFL. I mean, they were my role models, and so with my dad being a coach, I got inside access to see how hard they worked in the summer, and I got to see them leave Humboldt High School and go on to Ohio State and play against Charles Woodson, and I got to see that on TV, so I knew that guy, and so it wasn't this far-fetched dream for me. It was people that from my hometown that I got to hang around as a little kid, probably bothered them too, but I got to hang around, and it was tangible for me to where, they were my role models, and I wanted to be like them, and my dad was really hard on me, and instilled discipline in me to where he helped me do the thing necessary to try to chase those dreams.
Yeah, so, before college, obviously, even the fact that, I'm sure you were a hard worker in high school, throughout middle school, but, just talking about, your talent, there's definitely something special there, not many people can do what you did. Just going through that, was your dad kind of your main coach all the way through high school with the fact of, being a quarterback? Was he someone who, helped you train specifically for quarterback, or did you, go to anyone? I mean, what helped you, progress your career going into college and then obviously the NFL?
I have it was an interesting deal for me. I mean, I was a basketball player and a baseball player all growing up. I committed to A&M to play basketball first, and played baseball on one of the top, select teams in Texas, and that was my thing. I just played football. That's what you do as a coach's kid in Texas. You play football, and so I got off by A&M first in basketball, and committed to basketball and committed to football later. It wasn't until Mike Sherman arrived at Texas A&M that I really fell in love with the quarterback position. Up to that point, I was just a really big kid with my baseball background, but could throw the ball pretty hard, and so it really was I kind of got to the ball jump. I guess I'd say I always played quarterback, but I kind of learned the position or fell in love with the position later, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
As far as like schemes and mechanics and all those different things. I mean, I was just running around making plays my whole life, and then Sherman came from the NFL, and he's just one of the smartest football minds I've ever met. Once I saw the knowledge and gained that information from him and what those coaches were teaching me, is when I really fell in love with the position.
Now, did you ever, play basketball there, a few years, and then you transitioned to football? I mean, or did you, go through? Did you play both at one time, or did you just, go into football?
I played both my freshman year. But I didn't show up to basketball until I guess conference play started. So I didn't play very much on my freshman year, and after that freshman year, decided I was going to go all football. So I did it for 1 year.
Was that tough, just, remembering that, having to play two sports, having to balance, your time between that and also, academics?
Oh, yeah, it was college with no breaks. So I had no Christmas break, no Thanksgiving, no Easter, no spring, no nothing. So it was tough, but it was tough. But I had great coaches, and they worked as hard. And I just kind of realized that, I thought I was a decent basketball player, but I knew I had dreams of playing professionally, and I thought football gave me a better chance to do that.
Yes, just, after your career, on the gridiron, I noticed, before, you ended up with the Colts, going through the internship program and now being full-time, you started up your own camp, for quarterbacks that you kind of, helped to, try to give them tips and, just give them, lessons on, how you could help them. I mean, was that something that, you were kind of inspiring to do before you got into coaching?
No, it actually fell into me kind of randomly. So, once you get cut from a team, you're jobless, and so you can't take a salary job from somebody with a company or something because, if the team calls, you're going to leave.
Yeah.
But you got to do something to pay the bills. So it started off me just doing something on the side to make a little money, coaching local high school kids around town or the friends of my dad and whatnot. They had kids or were coaches and helped out their quarterbacks. That turned into a legitimate business for me. So turned to a legitimate business for me, which led to me reconnecting with the Elite 11 circuit, which Trent Dilfer runs. And becoming one of the lead coaches with the Elite 11 and to travel the country doing tours with them. To doing TV and radio, and it kind of took on it became kind of a quarterback consultant around the country, running pro days and doing all kinds of stuff, And so what started as something to do on the side turned into a legitimate business. And when I finally knew that, I was done playing, is when I finally kind of, I think, in my mind was like, okay, if I'm going to coach, I think I want to try to, do it at the highest level if I'm done playing. So it really was something for me to do in between when I was still trying to play.
Yeah.
That led to something that grew bigger than I thought it would, and I made tons of relationships, and I honestly learned a lot, because training a quarterback is different than coaching a quarterback. As a quarterback trainer, your job is to get your client to throw the ball better, mechanics, and focus on one person getting better at throwing the football, period. And as a coach, you got to think of a team and a scheme and plays, and there's so many different things, and so, but I do think my time teaching elementary school kids how to throw a football will serve me well as far as being able to try to teach mechanics to older players because it's just a different way of thinking.
Now, just, transitioning from there, I mean, obviously, sounds like you had a lot of success with the business, going around the country, being a quarterback consultant. Just curious, how did you, kind of end up, going through the Colts internship process? I mean, was it something that someone, told you about and then you kind of went from there? Was it something that you were looking for, how to get in, to the NFL locker room again as a coach? I mean, what led you to the Colts franchise specifically?
I definitely had talked to several people about trying to find coaching jobs because at this point I realized the phone wasn't ringing anymore, and coaching was going to have to be that's what I'm going to do, and I was actually running a pro day at Tulane for a kid that I was doing draft prep with, and next thing I know, I got a call about a potential something. One of the scouts saw me, and it wasn't even a Colt scout. To this day, I don't know which team scout at the pro day saw that I was coaching, but they scouted me as a player and knew my story and my background and kind of what happened. They knew my story, knew a lot about me, and they said they knew somebody who had who was looking to fill a role. And next thing I know, I was one thing led to the next, and next thing I know, I was on the phone with Coach Reich, and I interviewed about the fellowship position, and kind of did it in the spring, and then got a 1-year deal doing the fellowship. So it all happened really fast, and it was honestly kind of random, But a lot of it, I think, has to do with somewhere along the lines of playing for all those different teams. Somebody remembered me, and as I guess my character and whatnot, and it worked out for me.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear, kind of, how you got into it. It's funny that, you mentioned how it went so quickly. It's interesting how, sometimes the best things, come at the last moment. So that's awesome to hear for you personally.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, just, obviously, you're just starting your coaching career, but, is it something that you, kind of hope, 5, 10, 15 years from now that you're still doing, whether it's where you are now, maybe a head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach? I mean, is it something that you can see yourself doing, for a good chunk of time?
Absolutely. I mean, I aspire to be a head coach someday, but at the same time, I understand where I'm at now. My role in quality control is to do whatever I can to help, our position coaches and those guys make their jobs easier. And it's the best, being honest, it's the best thing I could have done because you learn from the bottom level and you learn what it takes to be a coach and the things, the time commitment. And so every day I'm just trying to learn as much as I can from these guys. We have a great staff with all our position coaches. And like I said, our coordinator's great, Coach Wright, a great human being. And so I'm in the role I'm in. I'm trying to learn as much as I can, and hopefully I can, as time goes on, ascend to become a head coach someday.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, just, as we kind of wrap up, just talking about, obviously your personal experience with the NFL, going through your coaching and playing career, but, talking about the Colts, obviously you've been around them, been in the locker room, been helping coaching, obviously, the main goal is to win the Super Bowl, but what are your expectations, going into the season, obviously?
Honestly, I'm going to give you some true coach speak and just say, hopefully we can win week 1,
Yeah.
Like I said, man, my role in my situation, man, I'm not in the place to make too many bold statements.
No, yeah.
I'd go there and do what I can to help us win. But I hope we can win week 1. And I know we put in a lot of hard work, and I think we're optimistic about the guys that are in the locker room. And hopefully, we can go win some games and take it as far as we can.
Now, talking about, specifically, cuts, and tomorrow, in the afternoon, late afternoon, I mean, just, that experience, having, go through, the cutting experience as a player, coach, whether you did get cut, didn't get cut. I mean, just looking back on it, being a coach now, as a former player, is that, this time of season, kind of, extra tough, and, kind of nerve-wracking for, the players who are either on either side of the fence?
I wouldn't say it's nerve-wracking, but it's not as bad as you would think because everybody knows what they sign up for. As a player, you understand that the fact is that, it goes from 90 to 53. So you understand that. As a coach, I think the guys understand it as well. I will say it makes me a little more empathetic of dealing with the situation. Just as a guy who's been cut several times.
Yeah.
You're just aware of it, and you just try to treat everybody with respect and be respectful to the situation. But at the end of the day, the league is what it is. It's a business, and everybody understands that. You just try to be as respectful as you can to the players, and the players should be as respectful as they can to the coaches because I'm living proof that this football world it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. If you're working in the profession and with a player or a coach, and so you want to have as many relationships as you can, and everybody's doing the best they can, and the situation is what it is.
Yeah, that's awesome because, just speaking, being around the league, it's interesting how, some players, might take it too personally, do something they regret, and then looking back, they may have, lost a connection. It's great to hear how, you have the mindset of, you never know, who you're going to need or, who you're going to, want to work with. So it's awesome that, you went through the process and understand that, it's not, personal, it's more of just a business aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as there's respect in it, I think as a player, you understand the coaches have a job to do, and they're going to make decisions on what they think is best for the team. And as a coach, you understand the player is going to do what's best for his career, and you both need each other to be successful. And as long as there's respect there, I think that's best case in both parties handling the situation and being a part of professional football.
Yeah. So, just, going through, all the coaching and college experience, NFL experience, just last question before you let you go, thank you for your time and everything. Just wanted to ask you, something that we try to ask, all the people that come on, just going through, all your different levels of experience. What, is one moment that stands out for you that, was kind of your favorite memory of, looking back and playing football?
I guess my favorite memory was, my senior night. For me, it was really special. My dad passed away, and he played at A&M as well. And, so he played at A&M as well. And so it was me, I had my family there, and my mom bringing out my dad's jersey my last time at Kyle Field. Texas A&M is a special place to be, and a lot's happened. And so that's my greatest football moment. It's just that time with kind of quasi our whole family being on Kyle Field was pretty sweet. So.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. I'm sure that was, a traumatic experience for you, and hopefully that, just going through that, hopefully, everything, stayed all right, and you could persevere through that.
Oh yeah. I don't mind talking about it. I didn't mean to somber the mood or anything.
No. I just didn't know, how some.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you.
Yeah. So, just thanks for coming on. Obviously, just, getting to talk to you, it was awesome to hear about your experience, both on both sides of the gridiron. We wish you the best of luck with, your personal experiences, with coaching. We hope to, one day see you as a head coach. Good luck to, you and the staff and the players, with the Colts this season. We're going to be rooting for you, trying to, see how you guys do. And, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
Bye. Yeah, so that was Jerrod Johnson, current Indianapolis coach. Being with the Colts, it's something that, he's been looking forward to doing. After being on the field, we wish him the best of luck as a coach, and, hopefully we see him, keep on, persevering through, the different ranks of coaching. We wish him the best of luck, trying to help out the Colts this year win a Super Bowl. Especially they've been going through a lot, the Colts, with different, quarterback changes and just going through that process. So obviously, being through, both sides of the field, it's interesting to see how, he handles situations. And, we wish Jerrod the best, just, with his career on the coaching side now. We hope the Colts, do their best and, play up to their expectations. We wish Jerrod and the Colts the best of luck. And, thanks for listening to us. Great episode to listen to because, we get to hear about, both sides of the gridiron. Not many players get that opportunity. So, thanks for listening and have a good day.